I put in new little earbuds last meeting, so we'll see how these things work.
Okay, I've got 10 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting of the Finance Administration Committee to order. We'll identify our physical location. I'm Tobin Hope. I'm attending from my home in the city of Mount Pleasant, Isabella County, Michigan.
Jerry Jelazinski, participating from my home in Chippewa Township, Isabella County, Michigan.
And I'm Jim Horton. I'm from my office in Big Rapids, Michigan, Mecosta County.
Thank you, gentlemen. Nicole, do we have any public?
We do not have any public at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to our first item, which would be consider accepting and placing on file the March 18, 2021 routine personal items as presented. Jerry, you got any comments, questions on this?
No, looks pretty routine.
Just one step increase. And do we need a motion for that or no?
Yes, you need to consider accepting it and placing it on file, please.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we consider accepting and placing on file the March 18th routine personnel items as presented.
I will second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up then is consider approving the amendment to agreement for law enforcement services between Isabella County and Isabella County Sheriff's Office and Mid-Michigan College and authorize the board chair to sign the same. Sheriff, you want to
Sure.
fill us in on this one?
Yep. So the last couple of years, we contracted with Mid-Michigan, used to be Mid-Michigan Community College, it's now Mid-Michigan College, for some school resource law enforcement positions. They work, there's two of them that work in our Mount Pleasant campus. They work 2 days, 10-hour days. So we cover a 40-hour span for them, and they backfill the rest with some security stuff. They also do the same thing in Clare County. Recently, there was some changes there, how they did it up there. They were using a full-time person. Now they went to part-time. And long story short, they come back and said, because we've saved some money by going to part-time in Clare County, and we're happy with the services. We really like the law enforcement in the college and being, physically present. It's kind of a boring job probably most times, but they like them having there and they like them being in there. So they offered to raise that from a $17 an hour salary to $20 an hour salary. It doesn't cost us anything more. It helps recruitment and retention. So this one's an easy one for us. It was all good all the way around. Typically we use some retired folks coming off from their full-time career, and they fit in nice. They like those couple days they work, and they're good people, and they've done real well in our college setting for us. So we're real happy with that as well, and hope to move this forward and give them a little raise.
Sounds like a good deal to me. If they came to us and wanted to pay them a little bit more.
Yeah,
so.
we don't get that variety very often, that's for sure.
Right. Is Bill Martinez still doing that?
Bill is. He is on his last little bit here. He's him and his wife's about to retire, so we're gonna have a position there we're gonna have to find, but we do have some good candidates coming into retirement age here between the city and even us. So I'm sure we're gonna be able to fill that pretty quick for us. So, but yeah, Bill was kind of our first person there, and he's done a phenomenal job. He kind of broke the water for us, and he kind of I think became real good family members with the college. So built good rapport for us. We're real happy with how Bill handled the situation there. So
yep, I can imagine.
Yep.
Jerry, do you have any questions?
No, I will move this forward to the work session.
Okay. Yeah, I will support that. And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. That brings us down to item number 6 on the agenda. Consider approving the WatchGuard 4RE system quote in the amount of $90,838 for the replacement of 12 in-car video recording systems for the patrol units at the Isabella County Sheriff's Office and authorize the board chair to sign the same. Sheriff, go ahead.
So this is my let's make a deal speech that I give with Margaret often.
He does.
Well, our current system, which is L3 camera system, it's functioned for about over a decade for sure, well past its life expectancy. Currently, the server does not work the way it should anymore. We can't access the video. That has been problematic a little bit in the past. We have a lot of failures in the cars. We have a lot of the mic packs are gone. Some of them don't even have working cameras anymore. And one of the things I'm sure people will ask, well, you bought body cams here a couple of years ago, but the in-car camera serves a whole different purpose, and for vehicle pursuits. We've used them in crashes before. But the biggest thing is the fact that we have a camera in the back seat, and that becomes extremely important when we're transporting, opposite sex or unruly or disorderly, or people that might, come back and say, hey, this happened while in transport. Having that camera video in the back seat certainly is a valuable tool, and our folks use it all the time during transport. So. Long story short, we were looking at a Motorola system. Motorola bought WatchGuard, and that was their new platform, which we're fine with because WatchGuard's a great system, and that's some of the body cams that we're moving forward to in the jail. We did go out, and the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe was gracious enough. We got a 60,000 plus 2% request for that, and that was great for the hardware. We need the installation and the rest of it now, and the storage. MMRMA, we'd asked for about 18,000. We got 12, so that's awesome for that project too, because they do give money for that. But that leaves us short just a little bit. So this is where the deal comes in. We had all of our old cars that we recently sold again. We had 18,593 come from that. Well, it was a little more than that actually. No, I'm sorry, it was not. It was 18,593 was exactly what it was. We would ask that maybe we could use that money to offset the remaining costs of that, so we don't have to go to general fund. I know it's general fund money always, but this wasn't really accounted for again. It was just kind of extra money that we got in. So this would put us over the top. We'd actually have a couple $100 to the good, but would complete this project. We'd get those installed. And one of the nice things about the system is we've already tested it. We've taken WatchGuard video and we put it into our body cam Motorola vault that we use, and we can redact for FOIA purposes already. At some point, there is a connector being built between the WatchGuard and the Motorola, so that'll go right into that vault, which is great because that's how the prosecutor's office gets our videos. We've sent stuff to the federal court via the links and stuff, as secured links, and it's audit tracked. So it really will be a very clean solution when we're done here, and our risk will be reduced because of it. So.
Just out of curiosity, that 18,000 from cars that you sold, how many cars was that? Do you know offhand?
I believe there was 5 in that realm. I think we had 4 or 5 of them. I'd have to look at I think the attachment was on there, but I can't remember if it says.
So Mr. Chair, if I may, could I add something? Why the sheriff looks?
Absolutely. I was just curious on that.
Yes. So, the vehicles are originally purchased out of the general fund, correct? And then when the vehicles are sold at the end of life, that money comes back to the general fund. Mm-hmm. So when the sheriff said, well, that money's in the general fund, that money is in the general fund. But this is a regular routine thing. We have our vehicle replacement, and I can't think of the word I want to use right now. So we have a plan for that. However, the other thing, and these are the cars from the sheriffs, the vehicles from the sheriffs. I also want to go back to the presentation I made. I think it was the last round of board meetings, or maybe the board meeting before, I lose track, on the financial management, and that we have transitioned to a new way of selling vehicles, which is that online auction. And the sheriff has generously agreed that his undersheriff will be doing that auction for other vehicles in our rotation. So, if we are rotating vehicles, I'm just going to use this as an example, in inspections every 3 years or so, which we're doing at 85,000 miles, we can trade those in and we can get a decent price for those. That makes sense to do that. But some of our vehicles that were just old beaters. And the undersheriff sold some stuff for us from Murph. We had, pickup truck or some vehicle that sat out there in the yard for years. We had an old car at Commission on Aging. So this 18.5 really is representative of the cars for the sheriff's department office that were sold. And it's basically a wash. I mean, we can take that 18,000 and put it in some other line item and let it sit in the general fund. Or we can use the $18,000 towards this very necessary system for the sheriff. And when you look at the money that we've received, I'm going to say the sheriff received, I don't want to use the word we, that the sheriff has received from these other two sources, I think it's a smart thing for us to do. To put $18,000 or 18.5 into a project that we're going to get $91,000 worth of equipment is a good investment. And the sheriff and I do talk about, well, the sheriff talks about let's make a deal often. It's always a I have a lot of joy in working with the sheriff. We have a great working relationship, and you've got to be able to do these things. You can't be so rigid that you can't think outside the box sometimes. So I wholly support his request and his recommendation. He's done a great job of finding other sources of funds. So I really appreciate that.
I would completely agree with that. I appreciate that also, that you, Sheriff Maine, come to us with a need, but you figure out usually, how we're going to pay for it. So that makes our job a lot easier. And I think we all understand the importance of having a good camera system. And certainly it sounds like the one we have is not any longer serving our needs. So the need for this is pretty apparent. Commissioner Jelzinski, do you have any comments or questions?
I do have a question, and also want to agree with Margaret. These funds are coming out of the general fund. I support this project. I think it's a good use of the proceeds from the sale of those vehicles, but I would prefer to see that 18,593 instead of just being sale of cars, general fund. You can explain it. I don't think any county board commissioner is going to have a problem, but I believe in crossing the T's and dotting the I's when it comes to finances. The question I do have is when you have these in the back of the vehicle, do you have to give any kind of special notice under Miranda rights that these people are still under surveillance and anything you capture may be held as evidence?
So good question to me. There's no expectation of privacy in a patrol car, in a jail, or anything like that. That's a Supreme Court ruling. So there is no requirement to notify that those cameras are there or in existence, because there's no expectation of privacy. And that's why, if we were going to ask questions, we have to read the Miranda rights and stuff like that up front. So, and to answer the previous question, it was 3 cars. Pretty good price for 3 old cars.
That's a good return on 3 cars. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had an uncle years ago that liked to buy used police cars. They had Dodge Polaras at that time. It tells you how long ago that was. But
there's a very strange market with those. I think some people think maybe sometimes there's more to them, and they do have the braking systems are built a little heavier and stuff like that. Yeah. So there are some things to them, but at the same time, even though we run them a lot, they do have good care. They're maintenance well, they're oil changed well. I mean, they're on schedule. So, they end up being long lasting cars for people when they buy them. So yeah, we're very happy with the sale of them.
I think the last batch of cars were used a few years back with the Blues Brothers and the range of cars in Chicago.
Yeah.
I will move this proposition for the video camera system forward to the work session.
I'll support that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I don't have anything else, any other questions. Sheriff Maine, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Sheriff.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on then. Invoice list discussion. We got 3 invoice lists there. I didn't see anything terribly unusual on any of them. I didn't have any questions on any of them. Commissioner Jelzinski, did you?
I guess I have one question, and I don't know if this is something that you can talk about in public, but the payment to our general counsel of $11,242.03 for December and February legal services. What is that tied to? Can you mention that in something other than closed session, or?
I would prefer not to mention it in open session. You might want to note that it is for December, January, and February. So if some of it is catching up from their billing. So it's, there's a very detailed spreadsheet when we get their billing that Jesse goes through and attributes every single cost to a function. The functions are also on the billings. I'm happy to discuss that if we wanted to go into closed session at some time to do that. Or to share that process. But I can tell you it's a very detailed billing. Lawyers like accountants bill by time and by the subject that they're doing. The billing is very detailed, and then Jessica takes that billing, goes through and breaks it down even finer, so that we're making sure that, if something says it is a discussion about a personnel issue at X office, if it's, we know which office that is, and we put that in our spreadsheet, so we have that information. But that really is 3 months worth of effort, Commissioner.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any other questions.
Nor do I. So we're on to call to the public. Nicole, do we have any public or still no?
We have no public at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Jelzinski, anything else you want to bring up before we adjourn?
I don't.
Okay, I'll move that we adjourn. It is 10:16. That might possibly be a record for this committee.
See everybody next Tuesday.
Okay, good to see you.
Take care. Nice to see
Yep.
you.
You too.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.